the GroomPod. Welcome to our virtual salon. My name is Susy, and I'm your host. I'm a mobile groomer from Seattle, Washington, and anybody who knows me will tell you I love to talk, especially about my job. And one of my favorite people to talk to is my friend and mentor and the co-star of this show, the curator of ingredients, Miss Barbara Bird.
Hey, Susy, so glad to see you. I've been curating like crazy.
I love it when you say that. Welcome to episode 443 of the GroomPod, recorded on April 6th, 2025 in Snohomish, Washington and Greenville, South Carolina. This podcast is brought to you by our kind sponsors, Best Shot, Show Season, Precision Sharp, and Stasco. And if you'd like to tip your podcasters, you can go to our website, thegroompod.com, and use the donation button, or you can join us on Patreon to support the show monthly. This week on the podcast, we're going to talk about the dog's experience when they come in to see us. And it's time for a good rant from Barbara about Bleach. What's New is brought to you by Best Shot. Let me tell you about Best Shot's newest addition to the Ultramax Pro line. Ultramax Hair Hold is a flexible hairspray that can be layered on for a stronger hold. Ultramax Hair Hold Spray is great, but my favorite new product is called the Max, and I won't groom without it. It's a fragrance-free ultra-concentrate conditioner and detangler. It reduces drying time and handles undercoat and tangles like magic. Just a few drops in the final rinse or spray it on and dry it in. Contact your favorite Best Shot distributor or learn more online at bestshotpet.com. Grooming success begins with Best Shot in your tub. Made from the best stuff on earth. When I was little, my grandfather used to read me stories or make up stories. I didn't know whether he was reading them or making them up. But one of my favorite, of course, was Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Well, Barbara, I am having a Goldilocks and the Three Bears experience with my freaking slicker brush choice. I am having such a difficult time finding a happy place with my brush. It's bad. I'm having a very difficult time with the Artero brush because it is too flexible. I didn't think there would be a too flexible, but it's too flexible for me. It doesn't do what I need it to do in the thicker coats. I'm sure that there's probably another option. Now, the non-flexible Artero slicker brush, I enjoy a lot. And it's very similar to the Tweezerman brush that I just got this week. So I know you have a Tweezerman brush. Give me your opinion of that.
Well, I'm over the moon. So to speak. I really fell in love immediately with my scissor man. Remember Scissor Man?
I do.
With the Tweezerman brush. And I got it all figured out because not only does it have long pins, but they're widely spaced. And that enabled me to comb out the face. Half of Marco's face to the side that he doesn't like me to work on was so matted. I was almost sure I was going to have to shave his muzzle. And I really didn't want to do that. Little, the female, I shave her in a little poodle face and she looks adorable that way. My little guy, like that's not really the look. I was afraid we were going to have to. But that brush just did the job. I just patted and picked and patted and picked my way. And it took a while, but I brushed out his whole face. And my friend, and he's barking about it right now, is celebrating it. Yeah, you are. So my friend Melody was with me, the next dog that I groomed, which was little, and she had mats in one ear that I thought I was going to have to shave. And I had actually, from the inside of the ear, the other side of the leather, I had shaved away some mats that were just right at the edge of the leather from the back side of the ear. But that Tweezerman brush, again, just brush it up. The trick to having it work is that you've got to put your thumb and finger behind the mat that you're working on so that you don't pull the hair to pull the skin. And then it works really well, and it's very acceptable for these little freaky Maltese that don't want me to do nothing.
There's two things I love about it right off the bat. One of them was I took a picture of the pins, and the covering on the end of the pins I believe to be a better quality than the Artero pins. The Artero pins started to wear out very quickly, and I can see the top of the metal coming through the plastic. These pins look like they are heavy duty, really well on there, and that there's not going to be that wear problem. It is pretty delicate, I'll admit, because it has the longer pins.
I guess for some larger animals it might be, but for the Maltese or Shih Tzus or Bichons, I think it's a pretty good size.
I'm thinking more about in my drawer.
Drawers are death rooms for brushes. Period, period, period.
The way I used to have it, I had one brush facing one direction and the other brush facing the other direction, and there was nothing else in there with them. Currently, I have 6 or 7 different slicker brushes that I'm carrying everywhere with me, and that's where it's my own fault. So I know that there's some way I can hang the brushes. I'm just trying to figure out what will work best.
Here's another tip that just occurred to me. Why don't you put them in a sock?
That's possible. I wonder if I could do
put
that.
them in a pouch of some kind. A sock comes to mind because we almost always have socks around. But some kind of a pouch, somebody has got to invent a case, some way of protecting the pins, because groomers are going to throw those brushes in drawers. We live with drawers. So that's the other option. The option to save those pins from bending quite so much and from damaging in a drawer is to put them in a sock or some kind of covering so they can't bend so well. And the other thing is to hang them on the wall.
The other thing I love about that brush is the handle. It seems very friendly to my crappy hand.
Oh, it was very friendly to my hands, and my hands are just 85 years old. And they've groomed for over 50 years, so I'm lucky I have any hand action going at all. I can't open an olive jar.
Yeah, I know what that's like.
I can't open anything. They're ribbed vertically across the handle. It doesn't hurt your hand. They're very comfortable. The only criticism I have is that it's plastic, and we're just too plasticized. I really love the fact that Artero went to bamboo, a sustainable alternative, but those bamboo is not holding up real well.
And it's uncomfortable. You have to wrap it in vet wrap because it's an angular, small, tiny handle. Not like this one. This one's tapered. Like it's a little bit thinner at the top and a little bit thicker at the bottom. And like Barbara says, it's got the ribs around it that make it easy to hang on to. I really like that design. If they could make that in wood, that'd be cool.
I agree. So a wrapping technique. I know vet wrap is handy, and we often have it in our toolbox, but it's sticky and it attracts hair. But I used to use drumstick wrap from the music store, and it's softer, has a little bit of cushion to it, but it's made so that you keep a good grip on it.
I like that idea. I bet you can get it on Amazon.
Oh, I'm sure you can get drumstick wrap on Amazon.
So I definitely haven't found the perfect bowl of porridge yet. That's obvious. So I started to think about Goldilocks, that I've got the too harsh, I've got the too soft. I'm still looking for the just right. So I reached out to our field reporter, Dana Chavez-Ray, who is the cat lady who just goes to all the shows. And she went up to the Groomer's Helper booth and asked Chuck to show us about his brush. So I have a video. I'm going to post it online, but he also very kindly is sending me a brush, and I know that it's coming to my house tomorrow. So I'm hoping it might be my Goldilocks brush. I don't know. It'll have to pass the microscope test. It'll have to pass the sit in the brush drawer test, but fingers crossed, it might be the trick anyway. So that's what I've got coming up, hopefully tomorrow. But either way, Barbara, you and I were talking about Nature's Specialties the other day and how they have changed their tune.
Yeah. They are listing of ingredients of every product on their website.
About time.
It's a huge, we need to give them a trumpet.
So it looked like a good list and full disclosure and everything,
yeah,
huh?
it looks full disclosure. It was spelled correctly. I'm a stickler about that, but I just hate it when people, and sometimes it's just clerical errors, typos, because the people who are typing in the names of ingredients, they have no knowledge of ingredients, so they don't recognize when it's wrong.
That's so true.
I looked at the froth tails. I looked at those ingredients, and I'll comment about that soon. The other thing that I noticed that's new for Nature is they have a matching hypo shampoo and hypo fragrance-free conditioner. Hey, hooray for that. And I'm going to have to get those products and try them out, and we'll see if they hold up to our other choices.
And will you give us a bird's eye view of those ingredients once we get there?
Oh, yeah.
Cool. I look forward to that.
So, and I don't know where it was, but I ran into this ingredient that I can't wait to talk about it because I can't even pronounce it.
Ha! That's a rarity, folks.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it.
Barbara's going to break it down.
Called dihydroxypropyl PEG 5 linoleammonium chloride. Dihydroxypropyl PEG 5 linoleammonium chloride.
That was Barbara's brain at work. Right there. We got to witness it.
With my tongue not quite following. So it's a cationic, it's a quaternary ammonium product. You can tell that because it has the NIUM behind the linoleum. They have linoleammonium. There it goes. Linoleum. It's a tongue twister, folks. Anyway, it's a lubricating substantive, which means it stays on the hair, anti-static and softening agent based on renewable vegetable lipids found in rapeseed, aka canola oil, possesses detangling anionic compatibility, detangling anionic compatible foaming properties, and acts as a cationic emulsifier.
Is it a new ingredient?
It might be, I lost track of where I found it.
Oh.
Thank you.
I bet it's in the frothing shampoo.
I think it might be the frothing shampoo where I found it. But I will be reporting more. It just looks like it's a superior product, and it's a very contemporary product because we are looking for more products that are derived from sustainable sources. So rapeseed oil is, the rapeseed plant is just like ubiquitous in the world. It's easy to come by. It's just all over the place. It's cheap. Canola oil, it's inexpensive substance. And listen to this. It imparts a non-greasy, silky skin feel as a silicone replacement and improves dry comb and flyaway while building volume and sheen, especially with colored, permed, sun-dried, and damaged hair.
Sounds good.
Boy, it sounds like the coming, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Dihydroxypropyl PEG 5 linoleammonium chloride in water.
Boom.
I'll tell you later what ingredient I found it in.
Cool. This will be fun. I look forward to that. So, a little bird told me that a little bird told me. Did I just say that? It's a pun. I did a pun. That perhaps there's going to be a little grooming presentation. Is there? Is that what we're doing? We're going to do a seminar?
Yes. Coming up, there's going to be a mini summit with presentations by myself, Barbara Bird, and Chris Sertzel, a.k.a. Chris Pearson. She's going to do a classroom on skin and coat stuff, and I'm going to do a classroom on trends and issues in shampoos and conditioners. So I'm going to be talking about things like that ingredient that I don't want to pronounce one more time. And new stuff. What has changed? What's changing? Where we're going? What the issues are? I'm trying to do a really creative thing in talking about frothing. I'm going to try to get some AI generated graphics for you.
Cool.
Don't hold me to that. But and Chris is working her ass off on her part of it. So it's going to be real fun. And then after the two of us do our classrooms, it's going to be a combined question and answer period that all participants can attend. And you can ask all your questions, and we're going to ask each other questions. So that should be fascinating.
Excellent.
And I'm so looking forward to being live with you again, even though it won't be in person. We'll be hooked up.
Cool. Yes. And it's going to be an all-day thing, so plan to hang out with us for the majority of the day. Hopefully you can, and we'll have more information on that coming soon. Meanwhile, let's take a break, and then we're going to get to our first appointment, which is the importance of the dog's experience.
Show Season has a great enzymatic cleaner called Kennel Fresh. And you dilute it with warm water and it smells good, and then it evaporates to be a deodorant. As the Kennel Fresh dries, it's enzymatic, it eats the bacteria and the odor source. So it's really good stuff. You can use it indoors or out.
Find it at your local distributors or showseasongrooming.com.
Ready, groomers? Here comes our first appointment. Before the seed of being a groomer was ever planted in my head, I worked in the vet industry. And the first guy that I worked for, he was kind of a jerk, I'll admit it. He had a naked picture of himself bungee jumping in his office. It was very weird. Yeah, naked picture of himself bungee jumping. You know, his junk isolated by the harness. It was disgusting. He's such a weirdo. Anyway, I digress. We won't be disclosing any names. We'll just call him the naked bungee jumper. I was applying for a part-time receptionist job, and I had to take a 40-question personality test. And in the questions was, what's more important, perception or reality? And it posed an interesting question for me. I actually went home and thought about it because I'm, of course, a reality person. But the truth is, the perception is a big part of the experience.
Perception is reality.
That's right. It can certainly be your own personal reality. And when we think about dog grooming, the perception of the human is coming through the reaction of the dog. So the dog's experience is directly related to the human's perception of the dog's experience, which is also directly related to whether they come back, whether they tip you well, whether they feel at home. So the fact is, dogs lie. They lie about what we do. They get very dramatic and they pretend they don't like us until we're done and things like that. So we are battling an uphill battle with this perception thing because of the dog's dramatic tendencies. What's the dog's first impression when it comes into the shop? Do you know that stress smells? We may not detect it, but they detect it. If it's a really stressful environment, that dog is going to know, and they're going to react to that. So I'm just going to give you some suggestions for ways that we can alleviate some of that stress. People always like to make their shop smell good. Your shop smelled good. I remember you had some smelly stuff in there. I think that's an important thing because it covers up that stress. There's no way you can take away all the stress because some dogs are going to feel it. Groomers are going to feel it sometimes. But if you can make it smell nice or make it quiet, not hectic, not loud, that all helps. Does the staff greet the dog? I know that as a human, when I have my vet come over, one of the most important things to me is that he tells me my horse is beautiful and perfect and gets that out of the way right off the bat. If I had a dog that I wanted groomed, I'd want the groomer to come out and have a little visit.
Oh, I agree. We always used to greet the dog, both of them.
Sure, you don't want to completely ignore the human.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Sometimes I do that. Guilty as charged. Doesn't it make you feel better if you walk in somewhere and they fuss over your dog a little bit?
Yeah, it was set up for the last several years. I've been set up at my shop so that I had full view of the front door opening. And I would give them a shout out. Hi, come on in. Good morning. So good to see you. Hey there, Moby.
Yeah, definitely.
If you have an upbeat, welcoming nature, the people are going to reciprocate with an upbeat, receptive kind of thing, unless you're inauthentic. Like you can't be in a horrible mood and totally pretend to not be, although I was pretty good at acting.
I am as well. That's one of my areas of expertise. Some dogs, though, are a little overwhelmed with the whole leaving the house and coming into a grooming shop. And it has reminiscent feelings of being at the vet. And some of the smells are similar. So some of the dogs actually prefer to be ignored. I think it's important to kind of read the room because we're talking about the dog's experience. So the human's experience is, of course, perceived through the dog, but it's really the dog that we're looking at and that we're going to be working and spending our time with. Oftentimes, the shyer dogs would just prefer that you kind of ignore them and let them get in and smell stuff and relax a little bit. And for those guys, I just like to take the leash, thank the mom, and turn and walk away with the dog and hope that it follows me. A lot of times it will. Occasionally it doesn't.
One thing that you don't want to do is drag the dog on the leash.
Oh, that's a fact.
In front of the people. Don't let that happen.
No, definitely not. That'll mess with the whole visual right there.
Oh, that's a deal breaker. So if you have to, you pick them up and scoop them over. But what if they weigh 50 pounds?
Yeah.
Treats can help. It's good as a groomer to have nibbles in your pocket so that you can offer somebody a treat because dogs like treats. And even if they're not going to eat the treat today, they're going to remember that you offered it.
And they do have good memories. You'd be surprised how much they remember. Like, for instance, if it's loud in your shop and they come right in and go right into a stainless steel bathtub and somebody starts working on them, it's harsh for the dog. They don't like that. You need to let them get comfortable for a moment.
I worked in a place, speaking of stainless steel tubs, I hate them. I hate the clanging and the noise. And if you appreciate that dogs have a much more sensitive sense of hearing than we do, If you have a heavy duty sprayer on your bath hose and it's knocking on the steel, it's a really uncomfortable noise.
And it echoes in there. Something fierce when you're in one of those stainless steel bathtubs, and especially if you're a small dog and you're set down into the bathtub, you can't really see and it's noisy. And then along comes a dishwashing nozzle, a commercial dishwashing nozzle that basically is on or off. And that thing blasts the side of the dog. It's not a pleasant environment for them. It doesn't make them want to come through your door. So think about some things you can do. You can use a different kind of a nozzle. You can keep the nozzle really close to the skin so it doesn't actually pressurize the dog, especially some of those little dogs. In my case, I have a regulator so I can turn down the volume, if you will.
Yeah, I like a regulator because you can turn it way down to get started and then gradually put it up to get the pressure that you need to push the product through the dog's coat. You know, you need to avoid fire hosing your dogs because if you've got that kind of pressure, the water and product is just going to bounce off of the dog rather than work its way through the coat. You don't want that. It's a porridge thing.
Yes, again with the porridge. Yes. It's definitely uncomfortable for some dogs in some areas of their body to have that water pressure. Like, for instance, after you've been grooming a dog for 10 years and now their hips are starting to deteriorate like people's do, and then you come on them with a strong stream of water, and it can be painful and the dog will react to that. We need to watch for those signals that the dog is telling us that it's uncomfortable and change what you're doing. If the dog is uncomfortable, change what you're doing. You may have to take a little longer. You may have to do it twice or something like that. But while you're working on the dog in the bathtub, remember to check in with the dog, talk to the dog. They're used to being acknowledged at home. You want to acknowledge them while you're doing your job. We oftentimes get focus vision and just go through the motions and don't think about the dog, who is a hearing, seeing, and smelling being that you're working on. Once again, I've mentioned this a few times. I use name and explain. I let the dogs know with a conversation what I'm doing because they recognize certain words. And they'll know the word bath. Do you want a bath? Because sometimes they get that at home. So I let them know they're going to have a bath. I put them in the bathtub. I say, "Are you ready?" I always say, "Are you ready?" before I do something because it tunes the dog into me. Little things like that really change the way the dog perceives the whole experience. In those big salons, they have many tubs in one area. Sometimes they even use those HV dryers in the stainless steel tub. There's nothing more assaulting than having someone waving an HV dryer back and forth while you're standing in an echo chamber with just a happy hoodie on. That's not enough. That is really bad for both the groomers and especially for the dog's experience, how they perceive what goes on when they're at our shop. That's our responsibility to make it better for them. It's okay to blow a little water off, but don't dry an entire dog in your stainless steel tub if you can help it.
I agree. I agree with that. I just don't like stainless steel tubs. I know they're clean and all of that good stuff. They don't harbor bacteria.
No cooties. It's true.
No cooties. It hurts my ears. And by the way, you should be wearing earplugs when you're high velocity drying and there's any kind of noise like that going on because we damage our own hearing by whipping the air across the grooming pole. And it makes this jumping metallic noise that is magnified for the dogs. It's also hard on you. And I'm all for earplugs in the workspace, but you got to think that the dogs don't have that. And if you think happy hoodies are a solution, you could do cotton in the ear and a happy hoodie, and you would get maybe a 7% diminished pound. And what you might do is download an app, dB decibel meter app, and every now and then check the decibels in your shop. Go back there while they're working or while you're working and hold it up and see where you're at. And anything that's over 85 decibels is harmful to us and to the dogs. The noise in the shop is one of the things that makes dogs not want to come back.
I think it's like the biggest thing. I mean, they don't like to have their nails done. Some of them don't like to be handled as much as we handle them because they don't get it at home. But I think the noise is really the biggest deterrent. And if your dog is shying away from the dryer, or you're seeing any kind of reaction like that, please choose a less aggressive method of drying. There are many, many, many variations of ways we can dry the dogs. When I first started grooming, I grabbed the HV dryer with the cone nozzle and I used it on almost every single dog. I no longer do that. I understand that was never the right thing to do. There's even different sizes of cone nozzles, but truthfully, I don't use a cone nozzle ever anymore. I use the water peeler, which is quieter. I also use an open cuff down close to the skin, and never, ever, ever, ever wiggle that wand back and forth with aggressive nature. Go smoothly like you're directing a symphony, not like you're trying to blow, I don't know, what do you blow off of things? Not like you're trying to remove all the dust off of a table. Go gently. Use the gentler methods. I have a handheld dryer now for the smaller dogs so that I'm not blasting them from the side with a HV dryer. I don't have to do that anymore.
With a handheld dryer that gets hot, you do want some movement. You want some movement when the air is hot because that helps you keep from burning the skin or the hair. But what you don't need is this rapid kind of kind of drying.
Like with a hose when you're washing off your car. Don't do that.
Yeah, a dog is not your car.
It's a being.
A living being that has feelings and it has imagination.
And memory.
And memory and hearing and all of that.
I've never been to a hairdresser really, maybe once or twice in my life. But when you go to the hairdresser, they don't stand in front of you with the hairdryer and wave it back and forth to drive you crazy. No, they go nice and slow with a brush and they get all the hair dry in a methodical way. That's what dogs like. Dogs like repetition. They like be able to predict what's going to happen. They like you to tell them what's going to happen, and they like you to acknowledge that they are there. Let's move on to using the right tools on the table. And slicker brushes are one of those tools that we are shying away from, definitely. But if you use one with coated pins, they tolerate it better. If you're thoughtful about the size of the brush, they tolerate it better. I don't know about you, Barbara. I've always had a ponytail. And when I was a gymnast and when I was a dancer, my mother had to pin my ponytail into my head. I swear she took a little hammer and those little pins and she knocked on them until they were embedded into my head. At least that's what it felt like. And when she was brushing my hair out, she never really had long hair. She was gray at 22, so she cut all her hair off. She didn't really quite get the concept of holding the hair and then brushing the area beyond where you're holding it so it doesn't pull on your head. Well, sometimes we don't do that for the dogs as much as we should. So make sure you're holding the skin taut when you're brushing so you're not pulling on that skin and making it feel weird.
And you're brushing or combing from the ends into the skin, not from the skin out, because you want to always be combing or brushing over hair that's already free of tangles.
Use the right tools, name and explain. Most importantly, if the dog is fussy, it's not because it's mad at you. It's because something is bothering it in the process. So stop, give it a break, do something differently, come back to it, use a different method, use a different tool. don't force a perfect haircut on a dog that's not ready to get a perfect haircut, because the next time the owner brings the dog in, it's not going to want to come through the door because it didn't have a pleasant time at the spa.
What about hand stripping?
I don't know, because I'm not a hand stripper. I can't say what the dog's experience is like for that.
It's going to vary. I am a hand stripper, so I can tell you that there are some dogs that can stand there for days and let you pluck their hair. But there are other dogs that are very touchy, and you can just tell that it bothers them. Listen, I've had more than one dog beg me to stop plucking the hair, stop hand stripping. I could tell. I had a can terrier on the table once, and that little dog gave me the most pitiful look. I mean, he just like stopped and turned his head right to me, and I just immediately got it, and I immediately made the promise to the dog, okay, I'm going to talk to your daddy about it. You can't take it. There are some dogs that cannot tolerate hand stripping. There are other dogs you could hand strip for days, and everything in between. So you need to acknowledge to the customer that you might not get finished with one visit. You might have to do 2 half-hour visits or 2-hour visits, or you might have to break it up. If the customer can't do that, I wouldn't take them. You're responsible for the dog's experience, and you can't push these dogs past their tolerance point. It's just not right. And that's when hand stripping becomes abusive. It's when you have a dog that has really poor tolerance and you're insisting on doing it. And those are the kind of dogs that should never go into the show ring. They should always be clipper groomed, and so they lose texture and color. So what? They're happy doggies. It's not for everybody.
That does explain it really well to me, but my hands can't tolerate it, so I'm not going there anyway. So I want to add one last thing about the dog's experience, and this one hits me right in the heart. Some dogs hate cologne. Some dogs absolutely hate it. They sneeze, they cough, they give you the whale eye. They're like, fuck you, lady. Excuse me, I just used the F word. But please, if the dog really hates the cologne, don't put it on the dog.
I don't want to be your fucking airwick, lady.
As much as I love cologne, I always notice when the dogs do not. And I will honor that. If the owner would like, I'll put it on a bandana and take it off.
Yeah, sneezing right after being spritzed is a sure cue that it ain't a good thing for that dog.
The sneeze and then the look. What are you, like you've just stuck your finger in there behind or something. It's like, oh, that's offensive, lady. So, yeah.
And if the owner tells you that they go home and rub themselves up one side of the carpet and down the other side of the carpet, or roll in the grass or get in the dirt, then you know.
There's your sign. All right, let's take another break, and then we're going to let Barbara loose on Bleach. The GroomPod and Precision Sharp would like to invite you to check out the newest precise cut shear called Lynx. Its patented design features a thumb ring that slides the length of the handle for perfect ergonomic placement of your thumb. Slide it, lock it into place, and get your best grooms on. Check it out at precisionsharp.com. Groomers, take your seats. It's time for B-Bird's Classroom. On your marks, get set, go!
Well, I've gathered together some facts and some points that might give people a better overview of what goes on with Bleach. we kind of take bleach for granted because most of us have grown up with it around. It's in homes, it's in workplaces, it's in kennels, it's in the laundry room, it's just everywhere. I hate bleach. I'm going to just say it's not for me. I happen to be one of those people who's very sensitive to the odor of bleach, and it just makes the inside of my lips burn. And it does. My mucous membranes inside my mouth just start burning, and the odor is awful for me, and I get a headache almost immediately, and I'm just sensitive to it. I come to you with that, but I want to share some facts. That's my personal experience. But here's some facts. So, chemically, bleach is a chlorine base. It's either chlorine based or non chlorine based. There's two kinds. There's the kind of oxidative stuff, you see the oxygen on there and all that, and there are no bleach alternatives. We're not talking about those today. We're talking about the chemical bleach that we use to clean up after the dog pee. The active ingredient of chlorine bleach is chlorine hypochlorite. Now, how is bleach made? Hypochlorite solutions are produced by percolating. This sounds like you're making coffee, right? Percolating chlorine gas in controlled amounts through a solution of sodium hydroxide in water. When the reaction is completed, there is a 1 to 2% excess of sodium hydroxide present in the solution. The chlorine gas reacts with the sodium hydroxide to yield sodium hypochlorite. Chlorine bleach is considered a hazardous substance by all the health agencies. The chemical is considered hazardous by OSHA, causes severe skin burns and eye damage. It's corrosive, may cause severe damage to the eyes. It's corrosive to the skin, may cause severe irritation to the skin. Prolonged contact may cause burns to the skin. So it could be harmful to dogs. Inhalation, exposure to vapor or mist of bleach may irritate respiratory tract and cause coughing.
It does that to me.
Inhalation does that to you, makes you cough.
Yep.
Inhalation of high concentration cause pulmonary edema. That's like pneumonia. Ingestion may cause burns to gastrointestinal tract and respiratory tract, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. Some people, that would be me, are highly sensitive to the strong odor of bleach and report nausea, tingling, or burning of mouth and headaches. Now, bleach, I read this. Bleach is more effective at killing germs when diluted than when used straight out of the bottle.
Really?
Needs fresh water to be added. Release the chlorine gas that makes the hypochlorite.
I didn't know that. That's interesting.
That is interesting. Bleach is more effective at killing germs when diluted than when used straight out of the bottle. For most uses, the ratio of 9 parts water to 1 part bleach is minimal. That would be 1/3 cup to 1 gallon. And now I'm going to admit that in my researching, I ran into a number of different dilution ratios. So I ran into 1/3 cup to 1 gallon, 9 parts water to 1 part bleach, half a cup to a gallon, and a cup to a gallon.
Ha! That's a variety.
Yeah, so I'm going to say that really the ratio is not the critical factor. It needs water to be potent, but is your bleach fresh? Who thinks of that?
Yeah, who thinks of that?
Who thinks of, is your bleach fresh? Bleach is an unstable substance. It begins to degrade soon after it is produced. This makes it less potent. The higher the temperature in storage, the faster it will degrade. Yes, bleach can be losing potency while in the bottle at the supermarket or stored in your garage or under your kitchen sink. The decomposition rate is exponential, not linear.
Uh-oh.
So a significant amount of the decomposition occurs in the first week after production.
Waiting at the factory door to pick up our bleach.
We're going, like we want fresh bleach, please. You want to shop from a place that sells a lot of bleach,
Not the dollar store.
not the dollar store.
That's important.
Definitely not the dollar store, because that's why it's the dollar store. It's because it's probably been sitting around too well. And you can get a sense of the potency of your bleach by how it smells when you pour it out of the container. If it doesn't smell bad, it's no good. Because what is left when bleach solution totally degrades is like salt water.
Oh, yeah, that won't do much.
Sodium hypochlorite solutions containing less than 7.5% available chlorine are the most stable. So, probably what happens, to be realistic, is that the manufacturers bring it to a point of more than 7.5% to allow for that drastic drop off in the first 2 weeks after the processing that the bleach experiences, so that it ends up at around 7 to 7.5% at the store. Home Depot. Home Depot is a good place to buy bleach because it moves very fast from there, and Walmart is a pretty good place. Now, the factors that promote bleach decomposition are heat, light, so that's why it's in opaque white bottles where there's no light can enter. Heat, light, soil, dirty stuff, and metal ions, as in hard water. So hard water is less desirable, is less potent bleach solution, especially if you leave it in the mop bucket overnight for the next day or whatever. You really need to mix your bleach up and throw it away. Bleach by itself does not remove dirt or soil or urine and feces. An area that will be cleaned with bleach should be washed and rinsed first to remove any dirt or nasty stuff before using the bleach solution. And there again, soil itself, the stuff that we're mopping up, the dog's accident, the pee, that's going to degrade the bleach itself, make it less active. So you need to clean and mop it up with a regular cleaner first, and then hit it with bleach solution. That's how many times I have seen people just take a rag, mop up a pee place, and then throw bleach, and then pour bleach from the bottle in the spot, and think that it ain't happening. It's not the best way. Household bleach is usually in the range of 4 to 8% sodium hypochlorite. And it's the only type of bleach that's appropriate for the average consumer to use at home. Now, due to the longer time from production to use by the customer, it's highly possible that bleach purchased in grocery stores is not necessarily as strong as claimed on the label. You just need to this is why we don't buy bleach at the dollar store. Just don't waste your money. Very important point. Bleach is corrosive. One expert quote, bleach can drill a hole through stainless steel and it will ruin anything. Stainless steel tub.
And most importantly, your bathing beauty and all its seals.
Yeah, don't pour bleach through the bathing beauty. It's just not necessary. And it's just gonna,
Deteriorate the interior.
yeah, it's like rape. Don't do that.
It's like
Don't
rape.
rape your bathing beauty. I mean, you just don't expect your bathing beauty to last. Some people are so, what do you call it, germophobic. It's important to wipe down metal surfaces, like your stainless steel tub, with water or ethanol alcohol. Don't use bleach on metal instruments. Don't use it on your slicker burn
Or your blades.
or your blades or, scissors. Just don't go there. Alcohol is fine. Alcohol, isopropyl alcohol works well as a disinfectant, a wipe on, wipe off disinfectant. The long-term chronic effects of bleach exposure of the chlorine gas can cause permanent lung disease such as bronchitis and shortness of breath. It can also cause, check this out, tooth corrosion.
What? That's crazy.
Long-term exposure is mostly found in the workplace. The good news is that no cancer or reproductive effects have been reported from chronic exposure to chlorine.
Well, at least we have that.
The alternative to sodium hypochlorite is non-chlorine bleaches. They contain hydrogen peroxide or solids like perborate or percarbonate that react with water to release hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide decomposes into oxygen and water.
Do you mean like OxyClean?
Yeah, like
Okay.
OxyClean. If you see the oxy, it's using oxygen in somehow, and it's probably using hydrogen peroxide.
Okay.
It was brought to my attention.
By who?
Michael Olson, he's my partner. Anyway, he brought it to my attention that Vetramax shampoo, which is a veterinarian, thank God it's a veterinarian product, but it's available for every fool, if you excuse me. It looks like a good product. I have had 2 cases of dogs that had chronic skin infections that were resistant to any antibacterial stuff. They just couldn't get rid of them. Just kept going. Energizer bunny disease process going on there. And dogs were like living in itching hell. And if you've ever had, I have, well, this is TMI, but I'll share it. I now have psoriasis. I have scalp psoriasis, and I have these little itchy lesions on my body in various places that pop up and itch like a motherfucker. And it drives me crazy, and I just want to scratch my head off. So I can appreciate how living day in and day out with this kind of itching going on is just torment for a dog. And there are some instances where using sodium hypochlorite bleach as a rinse on the skin of these dogs will help out and sometimes even cure it. So there is a shampoo with sodium hypochlorite and also salicylic acid, which is another treatment, and moisturizers to combat the extreme drying effect of the sodium hypochlorite. And the bleach is just a teeny bit, but it's made for pet use for these resistant seborrheic problems, pyoderma, itchy pyoderma.
So what happened is Michael opened the shampoo and it smelled like bleach. So he immediately sent us a message.
So, and I looked at the ingredients and I said, well, that's because there's bleach in it.
Yeah.
Guess what?
Well, now we know why they put it in there.
So this is what Vetramax, I found the notes, Vetramax, salicylic acid, sodium hypochlorite shampoo, deep cleansing shampoo with moisturizers to avoid drying the skin. The thoughtful formula, boy, they didn't use mindful. Congratulations. The thoughtful formula contains no artificial fragrances or dyes, so they're not trying to cover up the bleach odor. By the way, it also works to brighten and whiten your pet's coat, so they look as good as they feel. Offers superior lather for a real deep down clean. The sodium hypochlorite is almost the last ingredient in the list. So it doesn't contain very much. And I would have, excuse me, even thinking about bleach, it's making me cough. I wouldn't keep it around and try to use it next year, because, oh, here's this medicated shampoo that we didn't finish. And no, you're going to want to throw that out within 6 months of purchase, please. The odor that Michael smelled was a good sign that the bleach was still active.
Yeah.
And it might be good to use in a pinch when there is just like nothing else had worked on the dog. But I wish they would market it like that. And I wish they would market it as a prescription only.
I agree. That should be a prescription only, and you should have to go back for a recheck after the dog has been using that shampoo, in my opinion.
We had this little to-do last week over whether the Fabuloso cleaner had bleach in it that was being passed off as fragrance.
Yes.
No. There's no chlorine bleach. There's no non-chlorine bleach. There's no bleach. But what the Fabuloso has is a gazillion fragrance components. So the perfume is really covering up the surfactant odor, and so that you don't have a industrial odor following use. But you have to be careful, and especially Fabuloso lavender, that's probably the most worldwide seller. It's got not just the lavender fragrance, but it's got eucalyptus, which is also an allergen. There's no dangerous chemicals in there. There's just a great deal of fragrance, which may cause some sensitivity probably to some allergic type people who use it.
All right. Does that wrap it up then?
That wraps it up. So there's my rant about bleach.
It is my intention to set up a page to advertise and sell the seminar that Barbara and Chris are doing. So keep your eyes on that. I'll make sure to make an announcement if I actually get that functional. Fingers crossed. And that's about it.
I did written notes here that I'm going to be able to put together as a blog post and put that up in the Groom blog on the GroomPod website. So if you want to go over and read what I've said, that will be available to you.
Excellent. Okay, everyone. Hope you guys have a great week. Happy grooming. We'll see you next time on the GroomPod. Bye-bye now.
So long. Take care of yourselves because we love you.